I still remember the smell of the wooden floors, the creak of the old stairs, and the soft hum of the wind brushing through the maple trees that lined our street. Even now, as I sit here, older than I ever imagined I would be, I can almost hear the laughter that once filled this house, my house, on Maple Street. It feels as if time has slowed here, letting me revisit each memory, one by one, like pages from a book I never want to close. The porch, that old wooden porch, painted a fading white, with 2 rocking chairs that squeaked just enough to remind you they were alive. I spent countless hours there as a girl, leaning against the railing, watching the sun set behind the distant hills, feeling the cool breeze on my face, and listening to my parents' quiet conversations as they sipped tea in the kitchen. It was more than a porch. It was our little universe, where joy and sorrow coexisted, and where life's lessons whispered themselves into my heart without me even realizing it. I grew up in a house full of love, though not always the kind you see in movies. My parents, hard-working and tired, always made sure there was laughter somewhere, even if it was soft and hidden behind the exhaustion in their eyes. My father, with his gentle hands and quiet patience, would push me on the porch swing as I shrieked with delight, my tiny legs dangling in the air. My mother, always in her apron, would call out from the doorway, "Don't swing too high, darling. You'll hit the sky." And I'd laugh, because in that moment, the sky did feel within reach. Siblings came next, 3 of them, each with their own mischief and charm. We'd sit on the porch during summer evenings, playing cards, sharing secrets, and dreaming out loud about the futures we didn't yet understand. That porch held our whispered fears and unspoken hopes. It held the warmth of my brother's hand when he comforted me after a scraped knee, and my sister's laughter when she caught me sneaking cookies from the kitchen. And then, there was the first hint of love, gentle, innocent, and unremarkable to anyone but me. A boy from the neighborhood who would tip his hat shyly as he passed our house, leaving a trail of curiosity and butterflies in my chest. We never spoke much at first, only exchanged glances and smiles across the street. But that porch, oh, that porch witnessed the very beginning of my heart's first tender stirrings. I would sit there pretending to read, while secretly hoping he'd appear just to wave, just to nod, just to exist in the same world as I did. Life, of course, is never all sweetness. There were evenings when the house felt too heavy, when my father's quiet sighs hinted at exhaustion that went beyond physical work, when my mother's eyes glistened with unshed tears because bills piled up faster than we could pay them. And still, the porch was our refuge. Even when the world seemed unfair, even when pain crept in like an uninvited guest, that little stretch of wood beneath the maple trees held us together. I remember one particular evening, when a storm had rolled in, drenching the street and splashing rain onto the porch floor. I sat there alone, my knees pulled to my chest, listening to the rain drum a steady rhythm on the roof above. My father came out with a blanket, draped it over my shoulders, and sat beside me. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. The rain, the blanket, the presence of someone who loved me unconditionally, it was enough. That night, I learned that love isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes, it is quiet, steady, and found in the simplest gestures. As the years passed, the porch continued to witness the milestones of my youth. Graduation caps tossed into the air, birthday candles blown out with wishes whispered into the warm summer nights, and letters exchanged with friends who would later drift away into the currents of life. Every nail, every crack, every peeling layer of paint held a memory. And yet, even as I grew older, moving away and chasing dreams beyond the comfort of Maple Street, the porch remained etched in my mind. It became a symbol of beginnings and endings, of love and loss, of laughter and quiet tears shed in the dark. It was a reminder that life, no matter how chaotic or fleeting, leaves behind fragments of beauty that you carry with you forever. Sitting here now, decades later, I can close my eyes and almost hear the voices of my younger self and those I loved whispering across time. The porch remains in my heart, not just as a place, but as a feeling, a sanctuary where love, hope, and memory entwine. And I realize that some places never truly leave us. They grow with us, hold us, and remind us of who we were, who we are, and who we might yet become. The summers on Maple Street were unlike anything else in the world. The air carried the scent of blooming lilacs and fresh-cut grass, and the golden light of the setting sun painted everything in hues of honey and amber. On those evenings, I would sit on our porch, legs tucked under me, watching the world slow down as if it were waiting just for me to notice. It was during these moments that life felt infinite, and the porch seemed to hold all the possibilities of my youth. That was also the time when I first noticed him, Elliot, a boy who lived a few houses down, whose laugh could reach across the street and make the heart skip a beat. He was nothing extraordinary to the world, but to me, he was everything. I remember the first time our hands brushed while passing a basket of lemonade from one porch to another. My heart had never raced like that before, and I remember sitting there, pretending to sweep the floor while secretly feeling as if my whole world had shifted. Summer evenings became our secret ritual. I would sit on the porch, waiting for the soft echo of his footsteps on the pavement. He would appear, sometimes with a book in his hand, sometimes with a shy smile, and we would talk about everything and nothing. The porch became our universe. We spoke of dreams we didn't yet understand, of places we longed to see, of the songs that made us feel alive. There was magic in the simplicity of it, the gentle sway of the rocking chairs, the breeze brushing my hair, the sun dipping behind the trees. I remember one evening, the sky painted in streaks of pink and purple. He leaned on the railing beside me and whispered, "Do you ever wonder what life will be like when we grow up?" I nodded, trying not to let the tremble in my voice betray the way my heart was beating. "I hope," he said, "that we'll always remember moments like this. No matter where we go, no matter what happens, we'll have this." And in that moment, I believed him. I believed that summer evenings and the old porch could hold us forever. But life, as it often does, began to pull us in different directions. School, responsibilities, and the subtle weight of adulthood crept into our innocent world. Yet, even as our paths started to diverge, we found solace in the porch. It was where we shared our first secrets, first laughter, and first tears. The porch held our whispered fears, my fear of losing him, his fear of disappointing his family. Every board of that porch absorbed our confessions, keeping them safe like an old friend who never spoke but always listened. One particularly warm evening, after a thunderstorm had passed and the earth smelled of wet soil and wildflowers, Elliot handed me a folded note. "Just read it when you're alone," he said, eyes avoiding mine. I took it, fingers trembling, and ran inside. My heart pounded in my chest as I unfolded the paper, the words inside simple yet profound. "No matter what life brings, I'll remember our summers on the porch. They are mine to keep forever." Tears blurred my vision, and I held the note to my chest. It was the first time I realized that love was not only about being together. It was also about holding someone close in memory, in moments that would live long after the world changed. That porch, our sanctuary, had given me more than laughter and comfort. It had given me the first taste of a love so pure it could survive distance, time, and all the inevitable heartbreaks to come. And heartbreak did come, in small, quiet ways. The pressures of life, of family, of decisions neither of us fully understood yet, started to create spaces between us. There were days when I would sit on the porch, holding that note close, imagining the sound of his voice, wondering if he still remembered me as I remembered him. And in that silence, the porch became a vessel for longing, for hope, and for the bittersweet ache of growing up. Even now, I can close my eyes and see those summer evenings. The orange glow of the sun, the rustling leaves above, the soft creak of the rocking chairs as I waited for him. The porch was more than wood and nails. It was the keeper of my heart, the silent witness to my first love, and the reminder that some moments, no matter how fleeting, define the rest of your life. Life has a way of carrying us along currents we never expect. After my years on the porch, after the summers and the letters and the shy glances across the street, I found myself stepping into a new chapter, marriage. It wasn't Elliot. Life had taken us in different directions, our paths separating quietly like two rivers that once ran side by side but eventually found different seas. I met James in college, a kind-hearted man with a quiet smile and steady hands. He was practical where I was impulsive, patient where I was restless. Our love was not the whirlwind of my first summer, but it had a depth and steadiness that promised safety, companionship, and a life built together. We married on a crisp autumn day, and the porch, oh, that same old porch, witnessed our vows in its own quiet way. Though the boards had weathered, the spirit of that place seemed to embrace us, welcoming this new chapter. Children came next, filling our home with laughter, chaos, and joy. I would rock them on the porch swing, sing them lullabies as the sun dipped below the trees, and watch their tiny hands reach for the stars that only we could see in the twilight. The porch transformed into a stage for life's everyday miracles. Scraped knees kissed better, birthdays celebrated with homemade cakes, evenings spent sharing stories that would one day become cherished memories. But life, inevitably, is never only joy. Illness crept quietly into our home, bills piled up, and exhaustion became a constant companion. Some nights, after tucking the children into bed, James and I would sit in silence on the porch, holding hands and letting the weight of the day settle between us. We didn't need words. The porch held our fears, our worries, our quiet strength. And even in those moments of uncertainty, I felt an enduring sense of love, a reminder that life's trials are less daunting when faced together. I often think back to Elliot in those days. Not with longing, not with regret, but with a wistful acknowledgement of what once was. There were evenings when I would sit on the porch, listening to my children's laughter, and I could almost hear his voice in the rustle of the maple leaves. Life had moved on as it always does, but the porch remained, a bridge connecting past to present, reminding me that love leaves traces even when it doesn't stay. The first real heartbreak of adulthood arrived unexpectedly. James fell ill one winter, and our world, once filled with warmth and light, suddenly felt fragile and uncertain. I spent hours on the porch, wrapped in blankets, staring at the barren trees and praying for strength. The children would peek through the windows, sensing my quiet despair, and the porch became my sanctuary once more. It absorbed my tears, offered its steadfast support, and reminded me that even in loss, love endures. Through it all, the births, the deaths, the laughter, the quiet fears, the porch remained my confidant. It witnessed me at my most vulnerable and my happiest. It carried the echoes of my past love, the joy of my children, and the deep, abiding connection with the man I chose to share my life with. That old porch, weathered and worn, had become more than wood and paint. It had become the heart of our home, a place where every smile, every tear, every whispered secret found its place. And in the quiet of those evenings, when the sun dipped low and the shadows stretched long across the boards, I would often close my eyes and remember. I would remember the laughter of my siblings, the shy glances of my first love, the promises made in the golden haze of youth, and the enduring warmth of family gathered close. Life, I realized, is not defined by a single love or a single moment, but by the layers of connection, memory, and resilience that we build over time. The porch taught me to cherish the fleeting moments, to honor the love that comes in many forms, and to embrace life's impermanence with grace. For in remembering, we hold our past close, in loving, we give meaning to our present, and in sharing, we leave a legacy for those who come after us. The house grew quieter with each passing year. Children grew up, laughter softened, and footsteps that once echoed through the halls became distant memories. The porch, the steadfast witness to my entire life, felt different now. The boards were creaking more than ever, the paint peeling in stubborn flakes, and the rocking chairs seemed heavier, burdened by years of holding memories too precious to be forgotten. I often sit there alone, wrapped in a shawl, staring at the horizon where the sun sets in gold and crimson hues. Sometimes I close my eyes and can almost hear the laughter of my children playing tag across the yard, feel the gentle press of James' hand in mine, or sense Elliot's shy gaze from decades past. But when I open my eyes, the house is still, and the porch holds only the echo of what once was. Loss is a strange companion. It arrives quietly, like a shadow stretching longer than expected. Friends who once gathered on the porch have passed, their voices now whispers in my memory. James, my steadfast partner, grew older and weaker, and the day he left this world, I held him in my arms, promising silently that I would carry our love forward in every heartbeat. The porch became my refuge again, the place where I cried openly, where the wind carried my sobs, and where memories wrapped around me like an embrace I desperately needed. There are evenings when I sit there with the empty chairs before me, imagining the faces that once filled them. I whisper stories to the empty air, recounting secrets and dreams that were never shared aloud. Sometimes I read old letters, my fingers tracing words that once made my heart flutter or ache. I've discovered that memories, though intangible, can be heavier than any physical burden. They are the weight of love lost, the longing for voices that have faded, and the warmth of moments that no longer exist. I think often of Elliot, the boy who taught me my first lesson in love. I wonder if he ever thinks of me, if he remembers the summers on Maple Street, the porch that held our laughter, the stolen glances, the note I still keep tucked safely in my drawer. Life had moved us in different directions, but the memory of him remains, quiet and bittersweet, like the soft rustling of leaves in the autumn wind. And then there are the quiet moments where grief gives way to gratitude. I remember James' hand in mine, our children's laughter, my parents' loving guidance, and the lessons learned on that porch. I realize that life is not only measured by presents, but also by the echoes left behind, the love, the care, the shared joy, and even the pain that shaped us. Each memory, each whisper of the past, is a testament to a life fully lived. As the sun dips low, casting long shadows across the porch, I find myself speaking aloud to the empty chairs, to the echoes, to the memories. Thank you, I whisper. Thank you for the laughter, the love, the tears, and the lessons. Thank you for letting me feel deeply, for letting me live, and for letting me remember. Even in solitude, the porch holds me. It reminds me that life, though fleeting, is beautiful in the layers it leaves behind. The voices may fade, the chairs may be empty, but the love remains, immortal in memory and spirit. And I, an old woman with a lifetime of stories, sit on that porch, holding the past tenderly in my heart, knowing that though the world moves on, the porch, and everything it represents, will always remain. Part 5. The porch today. The porch is quiet now. Its boards are weathered, worn from decades of sun, rain, and snow, yet it stands steadfast, as if refusing to surrender to the passage of time. I sit here, older than I ever imagined, wrapped in a shawl that carries the faint scent of lavender, a gift from my mother so many years ago. The rocking chair creaks beneath me, a familiar sound, comforting in its constancy. I think about all the years that have passed, all the faces that have come and gone, all the voices that once filled this space. The porch has seen laughter and tears, first love and loss, beginnings and endings. It has held me through childhood, guided me through the tremors of youth, embraced me in the joys and trials of adulthood, and now shelters me in my twilight years. Even alone, I do not feel lonely. I am surrounded by the echoes of life itself, the laughter of my children, the gentle guidance of James, the shy glances of Elliot, the voices of friends who have long since departed. Each memory lives here, intertwined with the scent of old wood, the creak of the rocking chair, and the golden light of the setting sun. Sometimes I speak aloud, telling the porch my thoughts, my regrets, my hopes, and my gratitude. Thank you for holding me, I whisper, for keeping my memories safe, for teaching me that love never truly leaves us, and that the past lives on in the quietest places. The wind rustles through the maple trees, carrying my words away, but I feel certain they are heard. I realize now that life is a collection of moments, some fleeting, some enduring. We cling to them, sometimes desperately, sometimes unknowingly, but always they shape us. The porch taught me to cherish simplicity, to love deeply, to grieve when necessary, and to treasure the ordinary magic of everyday life. The sun dips behind the horizon, painting the sky in soft pinks and deep purples. Shadows stretch across the boards, long and gentle. I close my eyes, taking a deep breath, and for a moment, I am 12 again, sitting on that porch with my siblings, the air filled with the scent of summer, the sky ablaze with possibility. I am 20, feeling the flutter of first love. I am 30, rocking my newborn child in my arms. I am 60, watching James' gentle face smile at me across the porch. And now I am here, older, perhaps wiser, certainly fuller of memories. I understand that life does not always give us what we hope for, that loss is inevitable, and that time marches on. But I also understand that love, memory, and connection endure far beyond the fleeting moments that define our lives. The porch in its quiet steadfastness has taught me this, that life is beautiful even in sorrow, precious even in absence, and sacred even in endings. As the first stars begin to twinkle in the sky, I rise slowly, my bones aching but my heart full. I look back at the empty chairs, at the wooden boards, at the maple trees swaying gently in the night breeze. And I smile. For all that has been, for all that is, and for all that will remain in memory, I am grateful. The porch stands behind me, a silent witness to a life lived fully, deeply, and with love. And as I close the door and step inside, I know that some places, some memories, and some hearts never truly age. They endure quietly forever in the spaces we once called home.